We all want to find an exciting story in our family. Up next, a mystery involving surprise DNA results, British children being shipped abroad, and a mother with a secret past.
He lived in a wood far, far away. He lived with
his mummy and daddy.
And
his grandpa.
I'm John Niblett. I have 3 children, and I'm from Walsall in the West Midlands. What's missing, basically, is my mother's family history.
Cheese and ketchup.
My mother's name is Monica Mary Blackwood, born 1913 at a location unknown. I was 19 when she passed away. I've obviously had memories of her as a childhood, but that all changed 6 to 9 months ago when I decided to take a DNA test. After taking the DNA test, I received a message from Canada from a Mr. Jim Smith, who said that we were related by DNA, first and second cousins. We're nothing to do with Canada. I eventually got in touch with Jim Smith's daughter, Nikki, and they uncovered a soldier's Bible, which her grandfather had carried as a serving soldier with the Canadian First Army. In the back leaf of that Bible, my mother's name, Mary, is mentioned. I believe that Mary, here, mentioned here, with a birthday the same as my mother, November the 5th, is Monica Mary, Mary being her middle name. And Nikki said they'd found a photograph of me sent in 1947 by my mother to James. That convinced me that Monica Mary, that mentioned in the Bible, is my mother, and that James Smith is my uncle. I want to find out my mother's family history. What happened to her family? She never chose to tell me, and I'd just love to find out.
So welcome, John.
Hi.
When you first took your DNA test, right, and you got that result back, that first cousin match, that must have been something of a shock because you thought your mother was an only child. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
So if we look at this family tree, there's you, there's your mum, Monica Mary. So as we move along this tree, you can see your newly discovered uncle, James, an aunt for you, Julia, and James's children, Jim and Walter.
Yes.
And grandparents.
Yes.
Now, you were told by this first cousin about Amy Harwood, which is your grandmother.
Correct.
So what's interesting here is Monica's maiden name, your mum's maiden name, is Blackwood. But when we look at possible parents, we have a Smith and a Harwood.
Yes.
We tried really hard to find information about Monica Blackwood. And just like you, we can't. We don't know where the Blackwood surname comes from.
She was very, very careful not to mention anything. She never did. I had an opinion that she might well have been adopted prior to 1926, when the Adoption Act was passed.
Well, let's see if we can unpick some of that. Yeah. The DNA evidence is clear. There's a connection between you and your uncle. That family and understanding that family is the key to understanding your mother. It's highly likely she was a Smith first,
yes,
before she was a Blackwood. That's what we have to start looking for. We have a little bit of a look at your grandmother. So we began looking for Amy Harwood. We struggled. We couldn't find anything about Amy Harwood. It was almost as if she didn't exist. The time period we were looking for, the records just didn't exist for her. So we thought we'd have a look for an Amy Smith. And what we're able to find is, this is a clip from a newspaper that talks a little bit about Amy, right? And it gives us a little bit more insight into who this person was. Appearing before the court in a most filthy condition, 4 gypsies named Mary Smith, 65, and her daughters Amy Smith, Edith Smith, and Pheasant Smith, all of no fixed abode, were charged with sleeping out in Job's Lane. We can't be 100% certain, but we're almost at that point, and we think that's your Amy Smith, that's your grandmother, and therefore your great-grandmother and your great-aunts. We believe they were probably Romany gypsies. When we look further into Amy, we find that she had at least one known alias. We're talking about people who live outside of the normal systems.
Yeah.
This is why we can't find a birth record, because there probably isn't one that exists. And then we found this record. So this is your grandmother, right? This record is from the Police Gazette in 1918 of the conviction of Amy. She was imprisoned for neglecting her children. And they found 3 children living in appalling conditions. Amy has a bit of a record. She has a bit of a history for larceny, deceit, those kind of things, fortune-telling. Her husband, we believe, died during the war.
Yes.
Right? So your grandfather's dead. Amy's probably struggling, right? She has 3 young children. How do you cope when you have these children and the main breadwinner dies and you're left to fend for them? The 3 children were put into care, all right? Mary, James, Julia. And we know that your uncle, James, he was part of the child migration scheme. This was something that the government carried on, and it took orphan children, poor children, children who might have been in institutions, and spread them around the world to places where they were maybe put up for adoption. About 80,000 people over a particular period, I think up to 1925. We don't think the Mary that was taken was your mum. We actually think she had 4 children. We found this notice from the Leamington Spa Courier in 1916. And this refers to Amy being arrested. And you can see there that she's accompanied by a little girl. We think that little girl is your mother, Monica, making her the youngest, and that Mary was actually an older sister, which is why there's always been this question mark around when she was born. Because the Mary that you've been looking at was born around 1900, somewhere between 1900 and 1905. I don't think she ever went into care.
But still leaves the question, where did Blackwood come from? Unless Blackwood was her father.
So this is what we think happened. And again, we have to build a story based on little bits of information. We think Mary, the firstborn, James and Julia, went into care. We think Monica was probably put up for private adoption long before the Act in 26. And so we think she was adopted into a family possibly named Blackwood. We don't really know. In 4 years' time, in 2022, the 1921 census will come out. She's highly likely to be in that census, living with her adopted family. So, patience, John, patience. And you'll get the next key you need to unlock more of your mother's story. But if we have a look at your tree now, I mean, your family's just got a lot bigger. So we were able to build on the story of Amy, your grandmother, found this connection to the Romanys. It helped some things fall into place. And we built back to this great-grandmother. And this is a legacy now that you can pass down. They're connected to Romany gypsies. That's pretty cool. John, thank you so much for coming. It's been a real joy, mate. Thank you for sharing a story.
Thank you. Well, I never imagined I'd got Romany blood in me. I perhaps now understand my mother why she was so reticent about giving me information, or she didn't. And I understand that now. I feel sorry for her. But I hope, well, yeah, I am sure that I think she had a decent life, whoever adopted her. You know, I think she was all right.
This is almost like you bringing back the memories of your mother that you didn't really have, and that's
right.
Yeah, it's a big thing for you.
I never thought it'd happen. When you look at the family tree, there's a blank, but there's not a blank anymore. I got a sense of belonging.
You've got a big family to go and look for
I've got
now.
a big family.
John, enjoy it. Lovely
you.
to meet you.
Thank you very much.
It's been an emotional day for John, who's just learnt about his mother's Romany heritage and her potential adoption. The 1921 census becomes open to the public after 100 years due to privacy laws, and Brad believes that John will then learn more about his mother's adopted family.